There are plenty of animals with bad labels, but it turns out they're actually friendly and sweet-tempered. Can you believe that lions are just huge kitty cats? Or wolves are just scary-looking dogs? Whether they're friendly with other members of their own species or with humans, these creatures can be shockingly sociable. They can really interact with us in a way that most of us couldn't even imagine. These videos never cease to amaze me. It's remarkable how these lions can jump out of the cage, go for a stroll with Kevin, then get back in the cage and return to the compound, just through mutual love. This man is playing on a completely different level. No amount of money can get you such a raw experience as Kevin Richardson enjoys. Communication is so important for a respectful interaction, and I love how this guy stresses that. Learning to speak the language of the animal you're interacting with is so beneficial, not just for cheetahs, but for any animal you meet. I'd wager it's just as important to learn the tales of domesticated animals. It's very important to learn to respect your pet's boundaries and understand their body language. It's interesting how similar cheetah behavior is to domestic cats. Dew enjoyed the petting, but spent a lot of time surveying her environment, just like domestic cats do when they're outside. Why do people always talk about how dangerous the ostrich can be? Any animal can be dangerous. You get out what you put in. And what I see being put in is loads of love. Look at this fellow. Does he look dangerous to you? I think he's getting ready to hear the goodnight story. Anyway, jokes aside, these birds can be extremely dangerous and could easily kill a lion with their strong legs. But they only attack if they feel threatened. What a privilege to have a friendship with such a creature. That picture of both of them looking at the camera with just their heads above water is an amazing picture. Imagine someone breaking into this house at night and seeing the polar bear in the backyard. I didn't know polar bears could be socialized. I'd always thought they were one of the animals that, even if you raise them from a cub, they'd eventually start seeing humans as a food source. Is this literally the only one? This really put a smile on my face. Okay, this is Russia. And in Russia, everything's possible. Imagine you're sitting in traffic and someone behind you is honking their horn at you nonstop. So you get fed up and get out of your car to ask what the problem is, and you find out the problem is that it's a freaking bear. I don't know what's most impressive, that the bear's riding on a motorcycle, or that they taught it to say F you with an arm gesture. I wonder what the owner would say to the traffic police. If this happened in the US, roads would be shut down and an emergency state would be declared in the city. Do you want to hear a story about friendly wild animals? Meet Finnegan and Dixie. I don't know when I felt more joy watching human interaction with animals than watching a girl pet and talking to Finnegan and Dixie. Their squeals of joy are the cutest and most heartwarming animal responses I've ever seen. And she's hitting that like button just like you should if you haven't done so already. No, really, she's a real fox whisperer. I can't get enough of watching what she does with these two beautiful little creatures. That's pure laughter, joy, and childlike playfulness. Good job. Okay, everything that we saw before is nothing compared to this. Could you believe that it's possible to pet sharks like dogs? The trust demonstrated here is amazing as the sharks didn't close their beautiful eyelids, which is generally an automatic response. This insignificant detail is actually very significant. A bond like this has never been seen before. It's so beautiful. There's something philosophical about that. I never really believed that some animals don't have emotions. Just because we don't understand an animal doesn't mean they can't feel hurt, sadness, or love. This is how dogs became domesticated. The friendlier wolves gained the attention of humans who fed them scraps from their meals. A few generations go on and boom, dogs. Animals figured out if they were nice to humans and didn't run away, we'd give them our scraps, thus creating the relationship with man's best friend. These two look like feral dogs, but they obviously want help and attention and are nervous doing so. Imagine yourself out in the cold, struggling to find food. Have you heard about Dean Schneider? He's a guy who dedicated his life to the animal world. This man deserves a movie or some kind of recognition for what he's done. That is the most moving and heartwarming reunion between a man and beast I've ever seen. The love he shares with these lions is something I've never seen before. It's otherworldly. What that must feel like to be so loved, I can't imagine. As Dean would say, we need to love them exactly the way they are, and not the way we wish them to be. Animals that display behaviors of playing generally indicate high levels of intelligence. That means there are many animals living in our beautiful planet that are much smarter than we give them credit for. An overly friendly seal gets up close and personal with a diver to capture the ultimate selfie. Puppies of the sea. Amazing ancestry. One evolved on land and the other on water. Now we need a pup for air. Some dogs went to the forest and became wolves. Others walked into our hearts and became dogs. And others just never wanted to stop swimming and became seals. This one's my personal favorite. Meet Messi the puma. Now, unlike most big cats that exist in the wild or in zoos, this big cat lives in a one-bedroom apartment in Russia. I've noticed how much Messi seems to love his dad to the point of screaming and crying if he can't find him. But knowing that they had nursed him back to health, it makes sense and brings a tear to my eye. Messi's story is an amazing one, and an amazing display of love that humans and animals can form. Even if you aren't out there taking care of mountain lions, be aware that these animals are capable of love, compassion, and caring for their loved ones. That opossum will get home and be like, "I almost died from a human today. It was the most terrifying experience I've ever gone through. It just kept touching me." It's always great to see when someone understands the fact that possums are not known to be dangerous and how they don't deserve the bad reputation they get. However, I don't recommend an interaction like this without experience with these animals and some type of protection on your hands like leather gloves. I love animal encounters, and although this little fella looks scared, he'll be fine when it's over, and he'll have a story to tell his friends. What I think of hyenas after all these years has changed after watching this video. That's one happy hyena. It just completely warms my heart when I see animals loved and cared for the way they should be. All animals are precious, and it's a privilege to be around them. I feel like these animals are happier with Dean than they would ever be in the wild. I've never seen an animal happier than that. Animals can tell when a person is sketchy, shady, or fake, and they love you wholeheartedly. The cats are clearly well cared for with adequate space and enrichment, and most importantly, his main aim is to educate people about their plight in the wild. I know people always say they're dangerous, they can kill you if they want, but yes, the thing is when you raise them and you feed them, they don't want to. If you take care of them, they're intelligent enough to understand that without you, they're doomed, and they love you for that. They're really just big kitties. A 70-year-old croc is just as physically and mentally healthy as a 7-year-old croc. Most likely, you could spend a decade away from a croc and he'll still probably remember you. The croc's memory and the intelligent gentleness and calmness he showed surprised me until I remembered that they're literally the dinosaurs that survived and thrived when the rest went extinct. They were bound to evolve some level of intelligence during all that time. He's just smiling and saying, "Yes, that's correct. Yep, keep going. Yep, that's me." That takes guts, man. You just don't know what crocodiles are going to do. Incredible. YouTube thinks you should watch this video next.